Okay guys, I'm back. It's another weekend of pouring. Now, this one I did a while back. I've had a couple of people ask me, why don't you show the dried pieces? But, well, I usually do, but a couple of videos up. So this one was dry. I put on a first layer of varnish, as you can see. And the thing is that I always do two really thin layers. So, and I do it with one of these little squirt bottles because it's easier to, put the varnish on. It goes fast and it has less time to dry. But as you can see, I'm using a really thin layer. And it doesn't really matter. You don't have to be really careful to do really without brush strokes, because this is so thin when it dries you won't see the brush strokes. But this is just to seal off the whole thing. But you do have to make sure that you get it all, you don't want to leave patches. And the easiest way to do that is have some good light source shining over your canvas. And then when you hold it up, see that? You can just see where you've been in or where you've not been. So you can fix that. But as you can see, I'm not paying attention to the brush strokes. I'm just making sure that my whole canvas is covered in a really thin layer of varnish. Now the varnish I use, because usually I'll get that question, it's my own mix. I sell it in my shop. But I have been, it took me, I think, like over a year to get this together. Something that doesn't crack. And if you want to really build it up, it'll look like resin. So that's what I'm using here. But you can use any sort of varnish you like. The important thing is, see that? You don't really see brush strokes because you put it on really, really thin. Now, if I were to put this one in the sun, it would be dry within, like, say, half an hour. And then I could put on my next layer. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put it in the sun and I'll show you some other stuff. Okay, so it was outside. As you can see, it's dry now. If it's not, you won't be able to do this with your glove because it'll be really, it'll drag and you'll feel that it's still wet. So after two really thin layers, what I do is then I put it on a little bit thicker, as you can see. And then up here somewhere I put some extra, because here's where I soak my brush into it. You want to make sure that your brush is totally soaked with it. Okay, now what I do is quickly spread out all the varnish, and as you can see, it is a little white, and that's normal. Don't have to be afraid, because when it dries, it'll dry nice and transparent and shiny. But right now I'm just making sure that it's divided all over the canvas. There we go. And the brush is very important, because the longer those fiber hairs are, the more you can cover your canvas, the more you can make sure you don't get your the hair strokes in them, those brush strokes. As you can see already, it's really starting to, oh, I already got my name on it. That's good. I thought I forgot that. So as you can see, nice and smooth. And this is how we'll just leave it, because I'm going to be doing this with a really high gloss finish. It's going to be sort of like resin. Yeah. Okay, around the sides. And don't worry when you see this. Here you see that it's a little bit more milkier, because that's just because there's a little bit more of the stuff on the side than in the middle. But don't worry about it. Don't go over it again with your brush. It'll totally, you know, dry transparent. Just make sure the sides are done also. I hear the dogs yakking again. Okay, that's it. We'll just leave it like this, and this time, this you don't want to dry in the sun because there's more on it. There's a thicker layer, so drying it in the sun will just, you know, give more chance of cracking, so don't do that. Just let it dry somewhere nice and cool in your house where there's a little bit of airflow. Always make sure that when you varnish, you still have your, see that, your little push pins in. That's important, so that the air can come underneath also. Okay guys, thanks for watching. On with the video. This one I did a while back, and it looks kind of light, but it's more or less the video conditions. As you can see, the closer I get, the more definition. But this is the one I wanted to paint some really light pink roses on top, and I was even thinking of putting sort of a decoupage where I just, you know, print it and cut it and put it on top, and then sort of varnish it so that it looks like, because I know a lot of people really can't, don't have the skills to put a rose on top. I have seen some amazing artists that do that, but I'm sure they put a lot of time and effort into it. And I'd like to turn it around, because this little bit here is a bit blah. This one has all the cells in it, as you can see. But I might put the roses down here. That might be pretty. There are some air bubbles in there. I didn't really pay attention to that when I let it dry. So also it's very important that after about half an hour you come back in with your torch and you torch away the little air bubbles. Now, some brands of paint are more prone to produce those little air bubbles. And because I went from Royal Talens, I went to Winsor & Newton, and I sort of stayed there. But last week I went back to Royal Talens and I did that. I'll show you. I did this one. As you all remember, that was kind of cool to do. But now I'm going to show you a really close-up, and let me get you in focus. Look at that. See all those little pinholes? There are like thousands of them, really thousands and thousands of pinholes. And what I have learned is that some brands of paint hold those air bubbles more than others. And I have now been able to put them side by side, Winsor & Newton, Royal Talens. And Royal Talens, no matter what color you use, because it's in the turquoise, it's in the yellow, it's in every single color, it just holds on to a lot more air bubbles. So if you're having this problem in your pores, then I want to express very strongly that you just maybe once or twice, just, you know, change your brand and see what happens for you. Because of course it also has to do with the mediums you're using, but I'm using the same mediums in the Winsor & Newton as in this one, and I can see in this one that there are like thousands of air bubbles, much more than I'm used to with Winsor & Newton. So if you haven't chosen your paint brand yet, I would say go to Winsor & Newton, because up to now that is the brand for me with less air bubbles. And although, you know, this is not really bad, you know, when you start varnishing this, it'll sort of make it semi disappear, not totally, but a little bit. But I would really, if I had to choose, I'd go for another brand, really. And this one, of course, I showed it like this. This I really like. I love the colors. I like that there's a little bit of light going on up here and then a little bit more definition down here. I like when a pour does that, because otherwise you have the whole thing is pulling your attention. So, you know, when you look at it, you go every which way direction. But here, this is calm and this is just a little more defined. So that's sort of how I like the pours. That makes me pretty happy. Now, a couple of people asked me to show you this up against a window, and that's what I'm going to do in a bit. I'm going to drill through here. Normally you could put this on a stand or something, you know, put this in some sort of a wooden stand. But if you want to hang it, you'll have to attach some sort of a chain or something like that. But that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to bore. I'm going to bore is drill in Dutch. Ik boor een gat. I'm going to drill a hole. Okay, so I'm going to drill a hole up here. I thought I'd just do one. So I'm going to put a ring in here, put the chain on, and another ring on top, so you can hang it on a nail or screw or whatever. But this is something I'm going to do in a bit. So that's going to be happening too. And then I've already mixed up a ton of paint. And what I'm going to do is the revenge of the syringe. Yes, sirree. This is what I'm going to do. I prepared 3 little canvases. These are 15 by 15. And I'm going to do them all in once. So I'm going to lay them down like this, next to each other. I will leave a little gap so the paint can go in between. But I have 3, so I'm going to do a background color on top. Then I'm going to put the colors in my syringe. And I might have to do a double pass, because this is 60 milliliters. But then I'm going to put one down the middle here, and then maybe do it twice, I'm not sure, but something like that. And that way, when it's all ready, you can hang it horizontal or vertical, whatever you like, but it's going to be a matching set. So they call it a diptych, something like that. A funny name, really. Diptych, ditch, I don't know, but something like that. So that's what I have planned for the video that's going to be after this one. Now, of course, you've seen my other ones. You still remember this? Cute both ways. The front and the back are really nice. You can see all the glittery what's going on in here. And when you put it in the light, it really comes to life. But this one also, because someone asked me, they said, can you please do that on video, how you drill the holes in there and how you are going to put the chain on. So what I was thinking, and I'll show you. I got these really nice big rings. They are really big. And it took me a long time to find them. They're split rings, but they are, let's see, I think they are more than half an inch. Yes, they are. They're more than half an inch big. And in millimeters, it is 15 millimeters. So 1.5 centimeters, and it has to be big because you have to make sure that you can go, you know, pretty deep into the glass. So I'm gonna measure that up in a bit. But you can't just drill like, I'll show you. Oh, I got so much going on here. Now, you can't just drill a hole here. That won't work. unless you put some wire in or something, but that's gonna look so klutzy. You don't want to do that. So what you want to do is make sure that you have enough room that it's gonna be able to get the chain. So I would say about here. That's about it. And then of course the other one, same distance, about there. Now if you do that, then you have enough room. I'm looking if I do, yeah. You have enough room to attach the chain. Now I have a beautiful Jezzeron chain. This is what they call a Jezzeron, and this is pretty big. These links are something like 4 millimeters, so they are pretty big, but that sort of goes nicely with this window hanger. But I had a lot more because I thought, you know, while I'm doing this, I better make sure I have some choices. So I kind of like this one too. Why is it all tangled up already? Just my luck. Oh no, there it is. They just put it together. So I kind of like this one too. And these are really high quality because you can't really work with the aluminium because that is too flimsy. You know, you don't want to have that thing falling down. See, this one I also bought, but this is pretty flimsy. See, that is nothing. You can just pull it. So this is more for a necklace. That would look nice. It's more a necklace thing. So we'll just keep that on here. That one isn't gonna work. And then I have another one, but that color I don't like because I thought it was really nice silvery. And this is really thin. I could break this in a second. So this is way too thin, but this is more of a chain for a necklace or a bracelet or whatever. It has a beautiful link though. I like the links. But good thing I ordered 2 of these, the Jezzeron kind. It's you get them by the meter. And this is a much stronger. Yeah, it is. You can't be pulling that apart. I'm looking if it has closed links. I don't think so. But this will work pretty well. Now I'm going to show you that in a video later because I need my my tools to open this because this is really tough stuff, and that's only good because you want something that is thick and that it can hold it, and you don't want it to come crashing down after a couple of weeks. Okay guys, so that's all I got in store for the upcoming videos. So I'll see you all in a bit, and have a beautiful weekend. Catch some sun if you can. We're having a lovely day today, but next week's going to be terrible. A lot of rain. But I don't care because everything's better than 30 degrees in the studio. So you don't hear me complaining. So guys, see you in a bit. Love you all to pieces.